So we have decided to clamor also the mayors, probably much worried than we here. So it is the consensus that by the body that classes will be suspended in NCR, National Capital Region lang, beginning tomorrow and it will end in March 14. The reason being that parang tignan natin yung incubation period, which is not ordinarily like a normal virus, 3 or 4, ito umaabot ng 14 days. So, itong 14 days na ito, one is to keep safe the children. Second is that we're going to establish a benchmark kung ilan pa ang madagdagan. At ngayon, kung itong walang klase, would it somehow reduce the number of the victims? If we keep our children sequestered at home and study there, and the Secretary of Education, si Briones, has insisted that they should stay home but study. And we have agreed that DILG at ang police will supervise as truant officers. So yung nandyan sa labas, tanongin sila, magdadala ng libro. If they are there, they will be escorted to the parents and for the parents to be lectured on the responsibilities of being a parent. That the children should study even while they are detained in their respective homes. Walang klase. So, in all levels to. Mahirap kasi because the contamination of 10 years old is the same with the virus is, or the virus is so virulent that, even a contact, a mere talking and handshaking could place you in jeopardy. And we are trying to avoid losses, especially lives. And that is why we met this afternoon. But after March 14, we will be meeting again to discuss whether we save lives and yung itong ngayon, itong 24, gagaling to. Pero palagay ko, gagaling. I was just shooting the breeze with everybody. Mas marami tayong mga Chinese na yung to the extent of creating a xenophobia. Sino is Chinese? Phobia is parang pantakot sa insect. Do not do that. There are Chinese as there are Filipinos in China also affected. And we have something like 300,000 in Hong Kong. We do not have the accurate number of Filipinos working in the mainland China. So, yung irresponsible reporting, as if we are blaming everything against the Chinese. It should not be the case. For as long as we cannot stop travel, we cannot. we have to continue to open our doors. Baski na sanabi noon na while the virus was starting, because that is really the norm of conduct of the world today. Travel. You have to travel abroad, business. Especially that we have opened our doors to investments. What's bothering us is, well, ganito na lang. We have the money to combat itong COVID na ito, 19. We have, I assure you, we have the money and we can defeat that tanginang virus na yan. Saan ba nakatira yan? We can defeat it. But this is not the first time that we have, well, in a way, in the past, I remember when I was young, there was this flu. It was also. Alam mo, ang totoo niyan, there's a cleansing, not really a cleansing, but hindi magtanggal ito eh. Kaya the first one is the bubonic plague, the Black Death. Merong maraming namatay. Then yung Spanish flu, just after or before World War I. Mga sundalo, patay lahat. And then we have this thing, wala pa masyat tayong alam. But I'm sure that the scientists all over the world are working overtime to look for the vaccine. Hindi ito magtatagal.
Sir?
I am confident that we will survive this contagion.
Sir, clarify ko lang yung sinabi nyo, COVID cases in the Philippines, 24 na po. So we have 4 new cases, sir, since this afternoon.
24. There was one in West Kramis, San Juan, Santa Maria, Maria ba to? Bulacan, and Project 6 of Quezon City. One month, isa sila.
So additional 4, sir, since this afternoon. Sir, yun dun po sa, balik tayo sir dun sa suspension ng classes. So kahit na wala silang pasok, they will be sequestered in their homes itong mga estudyante.
Because the Secretary of Justice is insisting that they go to classes. And the only way that we can convince Secretary Brunes was that even if they are in school, even if they are in their houses, they should be studying. So we place the responsibility for that in the barangay captain, and the enforcement would be the police. Kasi parang truant officers. So what the secretary wants really to happen is that there is no stoppage in education.
What about government work, sir, or work in the private sector? Are we looking at yung mga work from home scheme?
You know, government has to function. We need all, at least now, we need all. Yung sa immigration naman, tinanggal ko na yung na-involve sa pastillas.
Yes.
But there is kung wala na kayong question, any more question, I would like you to listen to Secretary Panelo. This has something to do with Pugo. And this has something to do with wala pa naman masyado. May bagong yung sa ano 24 plus the 24 lahat as of last count. But the infection, the transmission is going on. Kasi may mga bago nadagdagan. 20 plus 4, it's 24. So, that is how bad it is. So, we have decided to clamor also the mayors, probably much worried than we here. So it is the consensus that by the body that classes will be suspended in NCR, National Capital Region lang, beginning tomorrow, and it will end in March 14. The reason being that parang tignan natin yung incubation period, which is not ordinarily like a normal virus, 3 or 4, ito umaabot ng 14 days. So, itong 14 days na ito, one is to keep safe the children. Second is that we're going to establish a benchmark kung ilan pa ang madagdagan. At ngayon, kung itong walang klase, would it somehow reduce the number of the victims? If we keep our children sequestered at home and study there, and the Secretary of Education, si Briones, has insisted that they should stay home but study. And we have agreed that DILG ang police will supervise as truant officers. So yung nandyan sa labas, tanongin sila, magdadala ng libro. If they are there, they will be escorted to the parents, and for the parents to be lectured on the responsibilities of being a parent. That the children should study even while they are detained in their respective homes. Walang klase. So, in all levels to. Mahirap kasi because the contamination of 10 years old is the same with the virus is, or the virus is so virulent that, even a contact, a mere talking and handshaking could place you in jeopardy. And we are trying to avoid losses, especially lives. And that is why we met this afternoon. But after March 14, we will be meeting again to discuss whether we save lives, and yung itong itong 24 gagaling to. Pero palagay ko gagaling. I was just shooting the breeze with everybody. Mas marami tayong mga Chinese na yung to the extent of creating a xenophobia. Sino is Chinese, phobia is parang pantakot sa insect. Do not do that. There are Chinese as there are Filipinos in China also affected. And we have something like 300,000 in Hong Kong. We do not have the accurate number of Filipinos working in the mainland China. So, yung irresponsible reporting, as if we are blaming everything against the Chinese. It should not be the case. For as long as we cannot stop travel, we cannot. We have to continue to open our doors. Baski na sanabi noon na while the virus was starting, because that is really the norm of conduct of the world today. Travel. You have to travel abroad, business. Especially that we have opened our doors to investments. What's bothering us is, well, ganito na lang. We have the money to combat itong COVID na ito, 19. We have, I assure you, we have the money and we can defeat that tanginang virus na yan. Saan ba nakatira yan? We can defeat it. But this is not the first time that we have, well, in a way, in the past, I remember when I was young, there was this flu. It was also. Alam mo, ang totoo niyan, there's a cleansing, not really a cleansing, but hindi magtanggal ito eh. Kaya the first one is the bubonic plague, the Black Death. Merong maraming namatay. Then yung Spanish flu, just after or before World War I. Mga sundalo, patay lahat. And then we have this thing, wala pa masyat tayong alam. But I'm sure that the scientists all over the world are working overtime to look for the vaccine. Hindi ito magtatagal.
Sir?
I am confident that we will survive this contagion.
Sir, clarify ko lang yung sinabi nyo, COVID cases in the Philippines, 24 na po. So we have 4 new cases, sir, since this afternoon.
24. There was one in West Kramis, San Juan, Santa Maria, Maria ba to? Bulacan, and Project 6 of Quezon City. One month, isa sila.
So additional 4, sir, since this afternoon. Sir, yun dun po sa, balik tayo sir dun sa suspension ng classes. So kahit na wala silang pasok, they will be sequestered in their homes itong mga estudyante.
Because the Secretary of Justice is insisting that they go to classes. And the only way that we can convince Secretary Brunes was that even if they are in school, even if they are in their houses, they should be studying. So we place the responsibility for that in the barangay captain, and the enforcement would be the police. Kasi parang truant officers. So what the secretary wants really to happen is that there is no stoppage in education.
What about government work, sir, or work in the private sector? Are we looking at yung mga work from home scheme?
You know, government has to function. We need all, at least now, we need all. Yung sa immigration naman, tinanggal ko na yung na-involve sa pastillas.
Serious.
But there is kung wala na kayong question, any more question, I would like you to listen to Secretary Panelo. This has something to do with Pogo. And this has something to do with the other game supervised by Pagcor. I assure you that every centavo nakikitain dyan sa mga gaming supervised by Pagcor are accounted for. Walang corruption dyan at hindi ako papayag. And do you know why? Well, Panelo will tell you shortly. Pangako, just to give you an assurance, na yung Pagcor na hindi niya pinapalaro mo dyan kasi yung mga mayor, nothing of the sort. I will not allow it. Now, there is a compelling reason kung wala namang iba at there is no legal impediment. I want it legalized. If they can pass a law about Pogo, fine, go ahead. Supervise it by law. Hindi kami. Pero dyan sa Pogo, I allowed it because saan si Panilo? Nandiyan ka pala. Sabi mo, akala kasi nila pera yan na bulto-bulto, hati dito. I've told you before na may iba dito naging congressman na. You can ask the congressman or any senator or congressman na may tinawagan ako ni isa in connection with the budget or whatever, yes, or to ask for a favor. If you can produce one mouth to say that I violated the statement, I will tender my resignation tomorrow. Sinasabi, hindi ko style yan. Panelo will tell you why it is important. Jonathan.
No, Mr. President.
Are you sleeping or are you?
Pogo is, I already told them this morning, Mr. President, with respect to the Pogo, why it is important, why you will not suspend nor stop it. For one, we need the funds. For another, those issues raised against it, like criminality, laundering, there are agencies that are responsible for the enforcement of the laws. So they will have to take care of that. Moreover, these issues raised have been there for the longest of time. This issue was raised when the Koreans came. Lahat yan na-resolve naman ng lahat ng mga agencies.
Ang dagdag ko dyan, hindi man nawala yung kidnapping. There were so many Koreans and they were kidnapping, there was kidnapping among themselves. Now with the Chinese. Now we cannot bar Chinese nationals from entering the country because they allow us to enter China also and even work in Hong Kong. Sabi mo, nagtatrabaho, and you know, yet that Pogo, have it check kayo, earns about 2 billion a month from, nandyan mang yung sulat ni Dominguez. We are not justifying it. We are just saying that it is allowed because we need the funds. But yung kung speculation dyan sa mga senador na ginagamit ng laundering, meron kaming we have a listing of itong mga deposito nila. There is a report of money laundering. Pero doon sa bangko mismo wala. Money laundering, ano bang ibayad mo? You are engaged in the business. You deposit money, you withdraw money. Tumatakbo yan. May manalo kasi may matalo. So kailangan nilang pera magbayad. That's it. If they want the payment to emanate from the Philippines, there's nothing that we can do. But kung sabihin mo yung money laundering na hindi nakita ng yung regulators dyan, binigyan kami ng kopya. Hindi totoo. Ang tanging ano ko lang dyan is the money. Sayang makatulong sa bayan. Kagaya ng itong mga ganito. So, 2 billion, answered ka agad. So, we have the money. But kung sabihin mo, may isa dito sa amin, na ewan ko yung mga polis, bantay kayo sa akin. Pero sabihin ka mga kabinet, we do not even allow them to visit us here in Malacanang. Yung mga businessmen sa Pogo. And it is not true. Per hour, that it may be the embassy of employees in the embassy of China are helping Pogo workers to come in. That's not our business. Unless they are criminals. But if they are here under the entry expedited by the Chinese embassy, but they are here to work as bona fide workers of Pogo, there's nothing you can do about it. Unless you want to, I said, jeopardize the Filipinos in America. Makita mo naman yung mga Pilipino, hindi naman nila pinilit umuwi. But I would like to assure China and every nation that you do not have to be worried about a Filipino in your country. We are ready to extract Filipinos wherever they are when needed to come home. Magsabi ang Pilipino mag-uwi siya, baski isa lang siya. I have a great ship, a Philippine Navy ship station in Europe. And they can, every Filipino can make use of it. Kaya ako nilagayan doon eh. But even with one passenger, the ship will sail. Yung klaruhin ko lang yung walang corruption dyan sa... Wala kaming kinausap dyan, except Pagcor. And I said, if you have a recording, a telephone conversation, if you saw me talking to Andrea about money, then you are sorely mistaken. Yung opposition lang yan. Kasi kayo, magnanakaw. Kita mo yung mga train natin na coaches na hindi magamit kasi hindi magkasya. So we had to buy a new one. Do you know that? Nagbili sila ng cars. hihinila ng train na hindi magkasya sa ating rails. Hindi tukma yung ano. And the other, rotten. Ano masabi ninyo sa amin? Sige daw. Give us a project where there is corruption. Pero marami na akong napano. Pasig Commission, wala na. Wala man rin nalinis. Diyan ako nakatira sa likod by the river. Pumasok sa CR ko yung baho. Ano? Waste of humanity is floating there. Happily eaten by the tilapia. Alam mo, sabi ko, hindi kayo mga Pilipino, sabi mo na kayo makain. All you have to do is to buy hook, line, and sinker. Manumano ka lang sa kamay. In one day, isang taro makuha mo dyan sa Pasig na tilapia. Yun, corona yun. Basta ganun na ubo.
Mr. President,
Yes.
Henry Uri of DCRH will ask his question.
Mr. President, magandang gabi po sa inyo. May kahilingan po yung ating mga kababayan na malaman kung saang mga lugar nagpunta yung mga nagpositibo na po sa COVID-19 para po makaiwas sila alang-alang na rin sa kanilang kaligtasan. Ano po ang sagot ninyo rito, Mr.
We have
President?
a successful tracing method. Kaya lang, mahina yan. It doesn't mean to say na malaman mo yung pangalan niyang araw na yan, on that day you can trace him where. You have to kung lumapit with a traveling human being, lang dumaan lang dito, visiting scenic and beautiful places, then eventually makes the exit. Mahirapan tayo. In the same manner na ganun. Sa kanila kapag pumasok yung Pilipino na may contaminated rin. But in the Middle East, while I talk, my heart bleeds. Kaya papunta talaga ako sa Kuwait. I have to go to Kuwait. But yung kaso na pinatay yung maid, domestic helper, they have arrested the couples and undergoing trial. And while undergoing trial, they are detained inside the jail. To me, that is good justice. And if they can follow it through in accordance with their laws, I would ask for piste itong virus na ito. I will ask for the maximum. I want their executioner to cut off the heads of those who are responsible for the death of the Filipino.
Another question, Mr.
Pero
President.
pupunta ako.
Opo, paano po pinaghahandaan ng pamahalaan yung posibleng pagtama po nito sa ating ekonomiya? May mga negosyong malulugi, may mga trabahanteng mawawalan po ng kabuhayan. Paano po ito pinaghahandaan ng gobyerno?
We will have to adjust, I said. That's why we're saving money. For those who cannot talk and for those who are poor, na hindi sila makakain, I'm sure I will have something for them. Uunahin ko talaga ang mahirap, yung hindi kumakain. Yung mga mayaman, okay na yan, hindi nila tayo kailangan. They do not need government to help them. The rich people can stay ungoverned. Hindi nila kailangan ng police, mga mayor dyan, mga senador, because on their own they can survive. And to think that And to think that the richest people in this country, in this fucking country, were the ones who were milking the most of our resources.
Ano po yung tulong na particular na pinaplano ninyo para sa mga mahihirap na maapektuhan po nito, Mr. President?
Bigas. Total, maraming reklamo bigas na hindi na, you know, even if we spend all the money, mapunta sa mga tao pagkain. Para sa akin, yun na yung pinaka-ano. Ano pa, kung walang trabaho, sabi mo, walang economy, nothing is moving. Every country is closing its borders. Nobody gets out. There is no product produced. Productions are slowed down. So, we'll just have to fend for our own. Ngayon, sabi na maraming bigas, hindi na. Bilihin na natin ng bigas. Malugi tayo. Maubos yung pera natin, ubusin natin para pagkain sa mahirap. Kukulangin pa yan. Milyon ang Pilipino na walang trabaho niyan.
Good evening,
Miss Belia Carriazo from Bandera.
Good evening, Mr. President. Sir, may proposal po si Congressman Salceda na mag-declare ng lockdown dito sa NCR for at least 1 week. Kino-consider po ba natin ito kagaya sa ginawa sa Italy kung saan 16 million residents yung affected?
Lockdown, no one comes in or goes out.
Yes, sir.
We have not reached that kind of contamination. Iisa-isa lang. With this transmission, you want to close down the economy at this time. There will be a time, I suppose. I hope not. I hope God will have mercy on the Filipino people. There might be a time, pero at this time, you want me to? It's too early. Hindi ko sinasabi na, bakit hintayin mo ba magkasakit lahat? It's not that. But you have to balance. Wala na magpasok ng bigas, wala na magpasok ng mga gasolina, i-lockdown o. Patay ang... Maybe, kung yung lugar na pinuntahan ng mga Pilipino, magsabi ka ang namatay doon, mag-abot na ng 20,000, o sa isang lugar may 5,000. Sigurado, I will lock. Hindi lang lock in, i-lock ko talaga kadena.
Sir, another question po. Sir, paano po natin i-address yung kakulangan ng testing kit? Considering inadmit po ni Secretary Duque na hindi problema yung, wala sila sa underreporting kundi yung problem sa resources. May limited tayo sa testing kit ng
Well,
funds.
the kit is there. It's kind of, to my understanding, it's a kit that can be distributed to the different health workers and they can do it. But at this time, kung kulang, they're always brought to a testing station. I do not know how they would term the facility. RITM. It's where they are being... kunti lang kasi, oh. But dikit... dikit is na dikit. Walang lumalabas pa.
So may enough naman, sir, in case na tumaas pa yung bilang ng mga tinatamaan ng ano?
I think
COVID.
that sabi ko nga, in every, not generation, but epoch, maybe meron yung nung una bubonic plague yung sa Middle East parang yun kasi magagago ang tao noon parang tama-tama lang. Tapos yung Spanish flu right before or after the war, Second World War. Kawawa yung mga tao. Pero mas kawawa yung sa Middle East. The so-called Roman Empire. You have read the Inquisition. Kung may birthmark ka, you are a witch and you are born at stake.
Miss Chona Yu of Radio Inquirer.
Hi, sir. Good evening. Just a follow-up on Belia's question. Are you satisfied with the response of the DOH sa COVID-19 considering na every minute tumataas yung bilang ng mga kaso?
You cannot prevent it. Yung contamination, if it is passed from one person to another, you cannot prevent it. At saka hindi mo mahabol. Because while he is still alive, if he's still around, hindi pa lumabas yung ano, he has gone to so many places, shook hands with everybody, ate with friends. Walang satisfaction yung ano. Trabaho lang tayo.
And sir,
Hindi natin malaman kung ilan ang mamatay. So, when does satisfaction come in? Ayun, kung ang mamatay 40 na lang, 50, or it wipes out the whole town. There is no way of... We have done everything in preparation. Nandiyan na lahat. Police of their health workers. Tayo naman dito, we formulate the rules, follow. Now, there are rules to follow here. The problem with sabi ko, Filipinos, if you start to break the rules, then you have the problem compounded for everybody. May mga rules batas, hindi mo sundin.
sir, another question. Will you still push through with your visit to Boracay to promote yung local tourism?
Look, I am not going to Boracay itself. I ordered the cleaning of barangay. Si Gerald Anyo pati General Samato. Kaya sekretary na yan sila. Malinis na. Si Berna. Wala naman tao pumupunta doon. Pero ako, I'm going there because I declared the island of Boracay as a land reform area. Yung likod mismo ng mga beach na tinitignan ng mga maglagay ng cottage, maglagay ng kung ano-ano. Sabi lang, Mayor, ang plano namin to resort. Sabi ko, you just wait after the cleanup. After the cleanup, I told Castriones, prepare the proclamation. I declared it land reform area. So I gave it to the natives. Then further inside the island, sabi ko, ubusin mo. Ubusin mo ang Boracay sa mga natives. Ibigay mo sa kanila kasi lupa nila yan.
Thank you, sir.
Yung Boracay, aywan ko. Wala pa naman nag-apply. Kaya mag-apply, ibigay ko yan. If somebody would claim it as a land reform area, and if it is valid to me, I will give it to them. Total yung nag-operate dyan, nagsugal dyan, bawi na yan sila sa kapital.
Sir, I asked that question kasi Secretary Puyat said na you will visit Boracay to promote local tourism amid nung coronavirus.
Yes, kasi wala ng tao. Ito nga kasi si Berna eh. Wala naman punta. Sabi ko, sige, magpunta ako, pero maligo tayo. O dito, hindi kita bastos. This is not, anong tawag niyan? Feminist, ano? Sabi ko, sige, maligo tayo. Sabi ko, alam mo na, yung ligo tayo na I also have something to look at. If you look at the open sea, it's endless. Mabubulag ka. But Berna would sit beside me on a sunset. I will stay. Totoo, hindi pa ako nakapunta ng Boracay. Nilinis ko kasi madumi raw. Nung malinis na, they put up there, thank you, Mayor Duterte. Sabi ko, litse.
Thank you, sir.
Noon, napag-umpisa ko, karaming daldalin nyo. Yung mga punta doon. Sa likod ako pumunta, bukid. Land reform area.
Mr. President, Ms. Sandra Aguinaldo of GMA7 will ask her question.
Hi, sir. On VFA po, we'd like to ask for your reaction on the move of some senators led by the Senate President to go to the Supreme Court to ask the Supreme Court to compel you to get the concurrence of the Senate in terminating the VFA. What is your reaction, sir?
They cannot compel me. I refuse to be compelled. I have terminated it. Tapos ang problema ko. Wala na akong problema yan. Insofar as I'm concerned, we are beginning to count the 180 days for them to pack up and go. I am not reneging on the BFA, and I am not going to America to discuss this with anybody. Though I respect highly of Trump, and if that was a political move by the senators to win the Filipino votes there, I'm telling the Filipino now, you are getting the best of deal with Trump. Kaya dyan sa leftist ang ano eh. Obama was a leftist. Halos ibigay na lang nila yung expense sa ibang tao. To the Filipinos, if you perchance lumabas ito, bumoto kayo kay Trump. And they say that I am interfering. Of course, I'm interfering. Tell that to the Americans. That Duterte is insisting in interfering. Alam mo bakit? Do you know why I'm interfering? Can anybody answer my question? Kasi sila ang nag-una kung ano-anong extrajudicial killing. Tapos 70,000. Saan nakalibing yung 20,000? Na mag-head count kami doon sa, kung may matay dyan na binaril. Extrajudicial killing. Kita mo, bumaba na ngayon ang droga, at least. Hindi na takot mag-uwi yung mga tao sa bahay nila. I have returned the streets to the people. Kasi yung public places are intended for law-abiding citizens. And if it is na hindi na makauwi ang mga bata, takot na, and they are nervous, especially the working girls, mga sales girls dyan sa mga mall. Alam mo ba ang buhay alam mo ba ang buhay niya mga yan? Mag-abot yan ng bahay nila mga alas 11, alas 12. Maglaba pa yan. Magluto ng pagkain. Para kinabukasan. Matulog yan, 2-3 oras. Gigising yan, bihisan yung mga bata, ihatod sa... Tapos, barabarahin mo pa ng... para lang sa Cebu. Patayin mo isang tao. Yung sa Davao, check it out. You have your stations there. May pinatay na diyan sa squatters area sa Boulevard. She was the parang supervisor ng itong gym ng babae. So she had to be early. Pagdaan niya sa isang bahay, dinamput lang siya sa loob. Nahulog yung pagkain niya, mainit pa. Yung mga babae na yan, o anybody for that matter, similarly situated. Yan ang nila. Meron silang kanin, magbili lang nila sa ulam, isang ulam sa labas. Tapos pag uwi sa gabi, patayin mo pa.
Mr. President, Ms. Joyce Bulancio of DZMM will ask her question.
Good evening, Mr. President. Your presidential security group is, they said that they will be implementing a no-touch policy on you, but earlier we saw you shaking hands with some cabinet members as well as other people present here. Does that mean you do not want that policy?
No, correct.
Why, sir?
I want an embrace. Why only a handshake? Kulang yan. Maniwala kayo, PCG, tapos sila, sige, gakus-gakus ng babae, tapos, why, do you think Panelo is not holding the hands of the women, you know?
So you don't see the need, Mr. President, to follow such protocol?
Kalukuhan niya. Putol-putol. I will shake hands. Anak, ilang kong bang sinasabi na sa iyo na kung tawagin na ako ng Diyos ngayon, oras na ito, pupunta na ako. Tapos na ako. Naging presidente na ako. Pinakamataas na maabot ng isang tao. Mga anak ko, okay na.
But sir, how about your public appearances? I believe your partner, Ms. Hanelet, is also urging you to avoid going to public, crowded places, also to avoid being affected with COVID-19.
Trabaho ko yan eh. Kanat. Pero na lang kung yung mga participants sila matakot. Ako, tatanungin ko sila, matakot pala kayo mamatay. Buti sana kung mayaman. Wala
So,
man kaming pera.
so, Mr. President, you will not be declining invitations to events that's supposed to happen in Calden?
No, I will not decline invitations.
Okay.
I will shake hands with everybody. I am going to Mindanao to visit my dead soldiers, if they are still there, and to congratulate my warriors.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Mamatayan ako, apat na sundalo ko.
Mr. President, Ms. Tricia Terada of CNN Philippines will ask the last question for the night.
Hi, President. Good evening. Sir, back on COVID-19, we still have low water supply, but then the DOH is also requesting the public to observe proper hygiene. How can we do this, sir? Especially for the poor communities na priority po nila makabili ng pagkain over buying sanitary supplies. How are we going to reconcile, sir, our problem with low water supply and this encouragement or message from DOH?
I am not an economist, but Secretary Lopez is here. But it would take a discussion of how it works. Ano lang yan, the law of supply and demand.
No, sir, how about yung water supply, sir? Any assurance, sir, na magkakaroon tayo ng stable water supply, especially, sir, in poor communities?
I am forcing the issue, yung dam sa Kaliwa, Wawa. Because if I do not do it in the next 2 years, magpalasot, ang mayor ng presidente ng Pilipinas, papatayin, pang-apat ngayon galing sa akin, papatayin ng Pilipino kasi walang tubig. I will force the issue. And I will battle with them in court. And I hope that the judges and the justices would understand. Talagang hindi rin ako magpapigil. Kasi kung magpapigil ako, wala kayong tubig. Yung apo ninyo. Pipilitin ko talaga yan. I will force the issue. I said I will fight all the way.
Sir, but at least for this year or for the time that we are fighting COVID-19, can we assure the public that there will be enough water supply?
Meron yan. 2020, meron yan. Sigurado ako. Basta kung walang distribution, I'm warning you. I'm warning everybody. I will industrialize and government will do the construction. And we will force the issue. Kasi hindi madala ng legal yung tubig pati pagkain. I don't believe the issues will just screw you, but hanggang dyan lang yan.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. That answers
Decided to the clubs of the mayors, probably